In a peaceful town by a flowing river, there was a young man named Ethan. He grew up in a humble family, always surrounded by the love of his parents. Ethan was an ambitious person, passionate about music, and he dreamed of becoming a famous musician. Music had always been his escape and his source of joy. He had been playing the piano ever since he could remember, and over the years he had become quite skilled. For him, the piano was not just an instrument, it was an extension of himself, a way to communicate the deepest parts of his soul. He believed that one day he would play on the grandest stages, sharing his music with the world. One chilly autumn morning, Ethan woke up feeling an odd numbness in his hands. At first, he dismissed it as a temporary issue, perhaps from sleeping in an awkward position. But as the days went on, the numbness spread, and soon he felt a dull pain in his fingers, then his arms, and eventually his chest and legs. His hands, once so nimble on the piano keys, began to stiffen. His fingers could no longer move fluidly. Panic set in as he realized that something was terribly wrong. After several sleepless nights and worsening symptoms, he finally decided to see a doctor. The news he received was a heavy blow. You have a rare neurological disease, and it will progressively impair your ability to use your hands. There's no cure, and with time, it will likely affect your motor skills entirely. Ethan sat in stunned silence. His dream, his passion, his life, everything was slipping away. The piano, the one thing that had brought him joy and purpose, would soon be out of his reach. The thought of never playing again was unbearable. How could he live without it? How could he even continue living if he couldn't express himself through music? As weeks passed, Ethan withdrew from everything and everyone. He stopped playing the piano. He stopped going out. He avoided his friends, even his family, who were desperately trying to console him. Ethan felt as though he was sinking into a deep, endless void. His life had revolved around music, and without it, he felt lost. His days became repetitive and dreary, each one blending into the other. Despite his growing isolation, he couldn't escape the constant reminder of what he was losing. The sight of his piano, sitting silently in the corner of his living room, was a constant torment. The once beautiful instrument that had been his source of happiness was now just a painful reminder of the future he feared. One evening, Ethan walked aimlessly through the streets of the town, his mind clouded with thoughts of despair. It was then that he noticed a care center up ahead, a place for people with chronic illnesses. Something about it seemed to pull him in. He had no clear reason for going there, but he felt a strange urge to enter. Inside the center, Ethan was greeted by an elderly woman at the reception desk. She kindly directed him to a room where he could speak with patients who were going through difficult battles, just like him. As he walked down the narrow hallway, his eyes fell upon a young woman sitting by the window. She was humming softly to herself, a gentle smile on her face, despite the oxygen mask attached to her face. Her name was Sophia. She was in her 20s and had been diagnosed with a serious heart condition that required immediate surgery. Ethan approached her cautiously, not sure what to say, but something about her calm demeanor intrigued him. She looked up and smiled, her eyes warm and inviting. "Hi," she said. "Are you here for yourself or for someone else?" Ethan hesitated before answering. I don't know. I guess I'm just lost." Sophia tilted her head, as if sensing his pain. "I understand. I feel lost sometimes too," she said, her voice calm and steady. "But I've learned that no matter what life throws at us, we can always find a way to keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time." Ethan was taken aback. "But how? How do you keep going when everything you've worked for starts slipping away? Sophia's smile softened. You find strength in unexpected places. Life doesn't always go the way we plan, but we can choose how to respond. My surgery may be risky, and I may not survive it, but I won't waste the time I have left in fear. I find joy in the little things, in the moments that matter, and I try to give those moments my full attention. Sophia's words struck a chord in Ethan. For the first time in weeks, he felt something stir inside of him, a flicker of hope, however faint. Maybe he didn't have to give up entirely. Maybe he could find a way to continue living, even if it wasn't the life he had imagined. He began visiting Sophia regularly. She shared her experiences with him, teaching him how to appreciate life's small joys, the beauty of a sunrise, the comfort of a warm cup of tea, the laughter of a child, and the satisfaction of a good book. She also encouraged him to explore other ways of making music, even without the piano. Music isn't just about playing an instrument, she told him. It's about creating harmony in your soul. Sophia's unwavering positivity became a source of strength for Ethan. With her encouragement, he began to experiment with his music in new ways. He started composing melodies in his head, tapping rhythms with his feet, and even singing along. He began to share his compositions with the children at the care center, seeing their smiles and hearing their laughter as they joined in with simple percussion instruments. Ethan learned that music didn't have to be confined to the piano. It could be made in countless other ways. And while his hands were no longer capable of playing the way they once had, his heart and mind still had the ability to create. As the months passed, his outlook on life changed. He no longer felt the same despair he had before. He began working with other musicians who, like him, had adapted to their circumstances. Together, they created a new kind of music, one born of resilience and creativity. Ethan began performing again, but not in the way he had ever dreamed of. He performed for those struggling with their own health challenges, bringing them hope and joy through his new form of music. His compositions, now more poignant than ever, became a source of comfort to those who heard them. Sophia eventually underwent her surgery, and while it was a difficult and uncertain process, she survived and continued to live with the same strength and grace she had shown all along. Ethan's bond with her grew deeper, and together they traveled to different care centers, sharing their story and spreading the message that even in the face of illness and loss, there is always a way forward